So for this practice, you will need a pillow as well as a yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, if you have a couple of pillows or maybe a thick book, you could use that as well. And then just to preface before we get going with this, this practice will be focused on the gut and doing movement to support digestive health. So there will be some twisting movements, and we will make our way into standing a couple of times. Many of the evening wind down classes have been very close to the ground. So if you already feel for yourself that you need to be close to the ground during this practice, feel free at any time to return to a seated or reclined position. And with that, we will get started in a reclined position. So you can make your way onto your back. We'll come into constructive rest pose. So feet a little bit wider than your hips. You can let your knees fall together. Let your hands fall wherever they want. Maybe that's on the ground. Maybe that's on your belly or your heart. And letting yourself, your body settle here. When you feel ready, you can close your eyes or soften your gaze. Feeling your whole back body supported by the earth, your feet firm on the ground. And begin to turn your attention to your breath. Feeling your inhales and your exhales. If your hands are on your belly or your heart, maybe you're feeling yourself as you inhale, as your body expands, and softening with your exhales. Letting the rest of your body soften as you continue to breathe. Softening your face. And softening your heart, your shoulders, your whole torso, your hips, your legs. On your next few breaths, see if you can deepen it. taking in a little bit more air and exhaling a little bit more. And as you continue to deepen your breath here, take a couple moments and set an intention for yourself for this practice. Maybe think about why you showed up tonight, what you are wanting for yourself in this next hour or so. And whatever that intention is, let that settle in your body. And at any point during this practice, you can return to that intention for why you're here tonight. We'll take 5 more breaths here. Big inhales, big exhales. And on your next inhale, begin hugging your knees into your chest, giving a little rock from side to side. And then taking your arms out into a cactus, so kind of bending at the elbows like goalposts. We'll let our knees fall to the right for a little spinal twist. You have the option here to place a pillow beneath your knees for a little extra support. You also have the option here to take your gaze to your left hand. But what we want here is for that left shoulder to remain glued to the ground. So there's an unraveling that's happening across the heart. Letting your breath continue to Soften any areas of tension, any tightness you might feel. And on your next inhale, bringing the knees back through center and letting them fall to the left side. Again, you can place a pillow beneath your knees. You can take your gaze to the right. Finding what is best for you here. On your next inhale, gently engaging through the core to bring the knees back through center, giving another little rock from side to side. And then holding onto the underside of the thighs, giving a little rock up and down the length of your spine. We'll make our way into a seated position. So taking 2 or 3 or 4 of these rocks up and down. And we'll make our way into whatever seated position is comfortable for you, somewhere where you can have a nice tall spine. And from here, we'll inhale our arms up. And as we exhale, we'll take the right hand up to the right side and left arm up and overhead. Continuing to ground into that left sit bone. And feeling an opening happen in the side body. We'll inhale the arms up. And exhale, left hand to the mat, right arm up and over. Really opening through the right side of the body. We'll inhale the arms back up. And exhale, we'll go for a seated spinal twist. So left hand comes to the outer right knee. Right hand can plant behind you. We'll inhale, grow nice and tall through the spine. And as you exhale, you can deepen the twist. Maybe you take your gaze with you. Massaging out the intestines, all of our organs in our gut. On our next inhale, we'll come back through center. And exhale, we'll take the other side. So right hand comes to left knee. Left hand can sort of kickstand behind you. We'll inhale nice and tall through the spine. And exhale to deepen into the twist. And something to notice for yourself here is that this twist is coming from our core and from our spine. We're not twisting at all through the hips. It's coming from the hips on upward. And our next inhale, coming back through center. As we exhale, we'll make our way into a tabletop position. So coming onto the hands and knees. Setting up a nice strong foundation here, slightly engaged through the core to support a nice long spine. We'll move through some cat and cow, so inhale as you drop the belly and lift the gaze. And exhale as you round through the spine, moving through cat. Inhale as your belly drops and your gaze lifts. And exhale, really pressing through the palms to cat. And so you can continue to move through this on your own time, your own breath, maybe inviting some intuitive movement. So trying to tune in to how your body wants to move. That can look like anything. But staying connected to the breath the whole time. We'll all meet up in tabletop on your next inhale. And as we exhale, we'll come into child's pose. So big toes come together. You can separate your knees a little bit wider and then sinking your hips back onto your heels. Walking your hands forward. Maybe you let your forehead rest onto the mat. If this is feeling quite uncomfortable in your hips, you can always bring a pillow and put that behind your thighs to elevate your hips a little bit more. And on your next inhale, we'll walk the hands over to the right. And then letting your hips continue to hang heavy here. Again, feeling into that side body opening. And then walking the hands back through center, and then continuing to walk them over to the left-hand side. Hips sinking back onto the heels. Belly resting on your thighs. And this compression of the belly here is really helping to detoxify our organs and to help cleanse them from the inside out. Your next inhale, walking your hands back through center. And exhale, letting yourself settle and be nice and heavy. On our next inhale, we'll come back up through tabletop. And then inhaling that right arm out and up. As we exhale, we'll thread the needle. So right hand slides behind the left wrist. Maybe you're able to bring the right side of your face to rest onto the mat. Opening up a little deeper into the upper back. The left hand can stay planted here on the mat with the elbow up for a little extra support. Then really pressing into that left palm to sweep that right arm out and up. And exhale, coming through to tabletop, neutral spine. We'll take that same thing on the left. So left arm sweeps out and up with the inhale. And as we exhale, we'll thread the needle so left hand slides behind the right wrist, lowering onto the left side of the face, opening up through that upper back. On our next inhale, we'll press into that right palm. Left arm sweeps out and up. And exhale, left hand plants by the right. We'll move through one more round of cat and cow here. So inhale as you move through cow. And exhale, curving inwards to cat. Coming back through to neutral tabletop, walking your hands forward a step, tucking onto the toes, lifting the knees, lifting the hips. We'll come into a downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So hands can stay about shoulder distance apart, feet hip distance apart. You can have a nice bend in your knees here. The deeper you bend in your knees, the more room your spine will have. Then really pressing through your thumb and pointer finger to take some weight out of the wrists. Keeping your shoulders away from your ears. And if at any point this becomes too much, you can always come back into a tabletop or a child's pose position. On our next inhale, we'll lift onto the toes and gazing between the hands, we'll take lots of little steps up to the top of our mat. Coming into Uttanasana or forward fold. So here you can keep that nice bend in your knees, letting your upper body really hang off of your hips here. And then rolling one vertebrae at a time, coming all the way up to a standing position. The head is the last to arrive. Maybe rolling the shoulders down your spine, coming into Tadasana or mountain pose, palms facing forward. So we'll move through one round of Surya Namaskar. And so again, this is a little bit more movement than previous evening wind down yoga classes. So at any time, I invite you to return to a seated or even reclined position if that would be more supportive for you tonight. All together though, we'll inhale the arms out and up. And exhale, hands come through heart center to forward fold. On our next inhale, we'll step the right foot back, dropping that right knee, coming into Anjalayasana. So in this low lunge position, the knee is tracking over that left ankle. The spine is nice and long. If you have a yoga block or a book or anything that you want to use to bring the ground a little bit closer to you, that can be nice to do here. And staying connected to your breath if you've lost that, or returning to the intention that you set for yourself at the beginning of this practice. And then tucking the right toes, lifting the right knee. We'll plant the hands and step back to a high plank. So really gathering the strength from the ground, from your hands and from your feet to support your core. Then we'll drop the knees. We'll drop the chest and the chin. And then sliding our heart forward into Bhujangasana or Cobra. So elbows are hugged in by the sides, keeping the neck nice and long here. And then pressing into the palms, we'll tuck our toes, making your way back into a downward facing dog in whatever way is best for you. On our next inhale, we'll step the right foot forward, dropping the left knee. Again, taking a moment to check in with the right knee and ankle, that they are in one line. And then tucking the left toes, lifting the left knee. We'll step that left foot forward to meet the right foot at the top of our mat, coming back into Uttanasana, forward fold. Reconnecting with the breath if you've lost it. On our next inhale, we'll come into Utkatasana or chair pose. So bringing the hands through to the heart center, keeping a little bend in your knees. You can decide for yourself how deep of a bend that is. It might be a very slight bend, or you might want to go a little deeper. That's up to you. But we're sending the hips back, and so our weight is in the heels of our feet. You might be able to wiggle your toes off the ground. Feet can be hip distance apart, or you can bring them together to touch, whatever is more comfortable for you and your hips. And from here, we'll begin extending the left arm forward and the right arm back. So coming into a little twist here. I'll turn to face you so you might see a little better. So left arm forward, right arm extending back. Maybe you're looking to the right side. Then taking a moment here to look down at your knees. What tends to happen is that left knee wants to sneak forward, so making sure that both of our knees are still in one line. Then we'll inhale, arms up, coming all the way into standing. And exhale, bringing the hands to heart center. We'll take that same sequence on the left. We'll take one more cleansing breath here first, inhaling nice and deep through the nose. And exhale, let it all go. We'll inhale, circling the arms out and up. And exhale, moving through to Uttanasana, forward fold. We'll inhale as we step the left foot backwards this time, dropping the left knee. Again, if you have a yoga block or a book or a couple of pillows that you want to place your hands on, you can bring those. And then tucking the left toes, lifting the left knee, planting the hands, stepping the right foot back to meet the left, coming into a high plank. Really feeling your muscles, your body come alive in this position. Then we'll drop the knees and hugging the elbows into the sides. We'll drop the chest and the chin. And sliding the heart forward, using the strength of our back body to come into Cobra or Bhujangasana. And then using the strength of our arms, making your way back into a downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. On our next inhale, we'll step the left foot forward, dropping that right knee, Anjalayasana. And then tucking the right toes, lifting the right knee. We'll step that right foot forward to meet the left, Uttanasana, forward fold. On our next inhale, we'll sink the hips and lift the heart, coming into chair pose, Utkatasana. The weight is in our heels, enough that you'd be able to wiggle your toes off the ground. And we'll extend the right arm forward and left arm back this time. Taking a look down at your knees to make sure that they are in one line. And so by doing that, that's helping ensure that this twist is coming from our stomach and from our spine and not from our hips. On our next inhale, we'll straighten out the legs, bringing the arms all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Reconnect with your breath here. We'll do one more standing thing and then begin to really slow down and make our way back to the ground. But before we do that, if you have your yoga block or a thick book or a couple of pillows, if you want to set that about halfway down your mat, we'll be coming into prasarita padottanasana, or wide-legged forward fold. So taking your legs out nice and wide. You can begin by bringing your hands to your hips. We'll grow nice and tall through the spine here. And as we exhale, we'll begin to tip forward from the hips. And so trying to really maintain that flat spine. I might move this way so that you can see. So trying to maintain that flat spine. If you don't have a yoga block or anything, you can always bend into the knees more to help keep that long spine. And then if you're able to release your hands to rest on the yoga block or the ground. Again, you can always bend into your knees to help do that. But what we want here is to keep the spine nice and long. We don't want any rounding over. Nice and long spine. We'll bring the right hand back to the hip or to the low back. And we'll begin spiraling the heart to the right side. So again, finding a little bit of a twist here. You might take your gaze with you. And by having this hand on the low back, that's helping keep our spine in check here, that it's staying nice and long. Then you can either stay here or you can extend that right arm up. But wherever you are, you can breathe. One more breath here. And exhale, releasing down. We'll take that same thing on the left, so bringing the left hand to the low back. We'll begin by spiraling the heart, lifting the gaze to the left side. And either staying here, or you can play with extending that left arm up towards the sky. And exhale, releasing that. If you were using a yoga block or anything, you can set that to the side. We'll inhale, grow nice and long. As we exhale, we'll allow ourselves to round over here to hang nice and heavy off of our pelvis. Keeping a soft bend in the knees. And then heel toeing the feet together. If your hands aren't already planted, bending into the knees enough so that you can plant your hands flat onto the mat. We'll step the feet back, coming into one final downward facing dog. And then dropping the knees, sitting back onto the heels, maybe bringing one or both hands to your heart, or imagining that you have your hands on your heart. Closing down your eyes or softening your gaze. Returning to that intention that you set for yourself at the beginning of the practice, of why you are here tonight, what you are wanting for yourself from this time. Maybe that was a word or a sentence or a phrase, or maybe a feeling. Whatever it was, returning to that. If your eyes are closed, blinking them open. Swinging your legs around to one side, scooting forward a little bit. We'll make our way onto our back, so you can take your time here. If you want to get any socks or anything to keep yourself warm for the rest of the practice, you could go ahead and do that. But making your way onto your back and giving your knees a nice hug, rocking side to side. And from here, we'll keep the right knee hugged in, and the left leg can extend long on the mat in front of us. Coming into padottanasana, or wind relieving pose. And so keeping our spine nice and long on the mat, keeping the shoulders on the mat, getting some nice compression here in that hip and in the gut. Padottanasana is really good for compressing the colon. And the colon really aids in digestion. So especially if you ate dinner not too long ago, this posture can be really supportive for helping your organs as they work to digest all of the food. One more inhale here. And as we exhale, hooking the left hand onto the outer right knee, extending the right arm out to the side, and then carrying that right knee across the body, coming into a spinal twist. If you would like to place a pillow underneath that right knee to make this a little more restorative, a little more supportive, you can go ahead and do that. And either keeping your gaze at the ceiling, at the sky, or you can turn your head, maybe you gaze at that right hand. On your next inhale, bring that knee back through center and hugging the left knee in, giving little rock again from side to side. And coming back into stillness, hugging the left knee in, extending the right leg long onto the mat. And again, we're giving some nice compression into the colon, helping to tone and detoxify our gut, all of the organs that work so hard to keep our body healthy. And then hooking the right hand outside the left knee, extending the left arm out to the side. We'll carry that left knee across the body, again coming into a spinal twist. Maybe taking your pillow, placing it under the left knee for a little extra support. Maybe you gaze at that left hand. Wherever you are, continue to let yourself slow down. Let your breath be nice and deep. And on your next inhale, we'll bring the left knee back through center, the right knee back through center, giving one final rock from side to side. And on your own time, whenever you are ready, we'll be making our way into final Shavasana. So letting the legs extend long, letting the arms extend long, letting yourself get really comfortable here. And once your body is comfortable, I invite you to close down your eyes or soften your gaze. And so by returning to this nice and slow, deep breath, by letting our body slow down, we're activating the parasympathetic nervous system. And there's a lot that could be said about that, but the parasympathetic nervous system is responsible for the rest and digest. So by giving our bodies time to slow down, we're giving them space to digest, to recover, to integrate, to do all of these things that are so important for us to stay healthy. And so as you let yourself be nice and heavy and still here, your body is thanking you. Your body is grateful to have this time to rest and to be still. Let your face soften. Let your neck soften and your heart, your shoulders. Let your hands and your fingers be nice and heavy. Let your rib cage sink into the ground. Let your guts be nice and heavy and soft. We did a lot of twisting and work with the digestive tract, so letting it have time now to just be. Let your pelvis soften, your thighs, your knees, your calves, your feet and all 10 toes. Letting your whole body be nice and soft and maybe expansive and supported. So we will stay here in Shavasana, and I will bring my voice back to guide us out of this when it is time. So for the next several minutes, take this rest for yourself. So slowly start returning to your breath. Coming back into your body. Wiggling the fingers and the toes. Maybe rocking your head from side to side. Or stretching your arms up above like you just woke up in the morning. And then really taking your time here to roll onto one side. And using as little effort as possible to press yourself up into a seated position. And I invite you here to keep your eyes closed or a soft gaze. Let your hands go where they want to go, whether that be resting on your knees, in your lap, or maybe together at the center of your heart. Continuing to breathe big inhales and big exhales. We'll close this practice with one Om. So if you would like to join in, you can go ahead and do so, or you can simply receive it. Either way, we'll take one cleansing breath together, inhaling through the nose, filling all the way up. And exhale, letting it all go, getting all of the stale air out. We'll inhale, fill up for Om. Thank you so much for being here, for taking the time to honor your body and honor this practice. Together we will bow our heads. Namaste.